This episode of Nicknames Movies is brought to you by big ass phones, the ones that were like too big to put in your pocket, right?
Yes.
They called them bricks. Gave people cancer.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is true.
I guess I can't argue with you.
I have the stats.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nicknames Movies, episode number 12. That is right, number 12 for the week.
For a sec, I thought you were saying like the sequel to 1.
Yeah, no,
It's 1, 2.
no, sequel to like episode number
11.
11. Yeah.
No. You should be more clear about that.
For the week of July 13th, each and every week we bring you all the cinema love and keep you informed about what's going on in Hollywood. I am your host, Nick, naming movies. Alongside me is my co-host, Zach. How's it going?
It's hot.
It is very warm.
I don't like it.
It's quite arid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it depends. Depends on if it's humid.
Not very good at okay, I'm not very good at good
Weather?
description words. What are they called? Adjectives?
Yeah.
My brain is failing me. It's not hot. What's another one?
For hot,
Yeah.
boiling,
Boiling? That's kind of like a degree of hot.
fiery,
It's fiery,
sultry.
sultry. This is starting to sound like sexy talk. Like
Maybe it is. This is how I lure you.
don't do that. Don't
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 lure
give
you.
them don't give them the fan fiction they want.
No, they need it.
No. They don't need it because this is Nicknames Movies, the podcast where we talk about what we've been watching and give you our thoughts. Want to be a part of the cast? You can head on over to patreon.com/nicknamesmovies, where you can donate as low as $1 and get the episode a day early. If you don't want to donate, no big deal. Every episode will be live every Sunday on YouTube or your podcast service of choice. You can also head on over to tpublic.com/users/nicknamesmovies to find our merch and help represent your favorite new podcast. But now let's dive into the previews. Zach, what have you been watching?
Oh boy, I've been watching some stuff you wouldn't even know, except you do know because we discussed what we would be watching this week.
Just a little bit before. You didn't give me details.
Yeah,
The ones that are not
the ones that are not part of our homework,
yes.
our thesis of the
Which
week.
you did way more of.
I
by the
did.
way.
Yeah, that's right. I'm an
You watched.
overachiever.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But what else did you watch?
So aside from the theme of this week, I also watched How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. It was fine.
the third one.
Yes,
Okay.
that's why I said How to Train Your Dragon 3.
Yes, I didn't hear the 3. Okay. Cut me some slack. Get
No,
all the
I
way
will.
off my back.
I will not.
I need
This
you-
is the
you-
12th episode.
You're perched on my shoulders, and I'm gonna need you to
That's
get
goddamn right. Now I'm the parrot.
off. Yes.
We've already.
Or
I
monkey.
believe this was part of the pilot
Yes.
where we discussed how I was a parrot.
Yes. And it's very annoying.
Well,
I was a pirate that asked for no parrot.
you got one. They come with every peg leg.
Son
This
of
is a
bitch.
lot of peas. I'm sure this is popping like
Popcorn. And potpourri.
pretzels. Do pretzels pop? So I watched that. It was fun. I feel like with all the How to Train Your Dragon movies, they just got progressively more okay. Like I feel like
Yeah.
1 I really liked, and
Yeah.
2 I was good with, and then 3 was like,
2 you were good with.
yeah, yeah.
All right, this I accept this as Zach Smith. This is good for me.
Yeah,
And then the third one, this is, by the way, they made a Netflix
TV series.
TV series for
Yes.
How to Train Your Dragon in between 2 and 3.
Well, they also did. I believe it was on Disney or Nick. It was somewhere. There was another one that was on like basic.
I think
cable.
so. Well, there was also the Guillermo del Toro like troll TV show that I confused it with.
I'm
for some
sorry.
reason.
What?
Yeah, he made like a troll. Hold on. Guillermo del Toro either executive produced / created a troll TV show on Netflix.
Like Trolls 2 World Tour?
No,
type
like
thing?
Del Toro troll.
Or Troll in Central
Troll
Park?
Hunters. Troll Hunters. It is an American animated series created by. It's this thing. I didn't zoom in on the pictures, but
Oh yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what that is.
it's on Netflix, and it's got Anton Yelchin, who's dead.
Bummer.
Ron Perlman, Kelsey Grammer. Some good cast in there. Stephen Yeun. Yeah, it's just a Netflix show. It has a similar look to the How to Train Your Dragon. But how was the third one? So it was okay.
Alright. Yeah, it's like I feel like the first one is one that both adults and children can enjoy, and I think that somewhat extends to the second one. But with the second and third movies, they are much more kid movies. I feel like.
I could see that, but I mean, to be fair, that was the main draw to begin with.
Yeah, no, I'm not like faulting it for that. You got to hit your target demographic.
Right.
But I just didn't enjoy them, I guess, as much. They were just kind of like, they were okay.
Yeah. But to be fair, it was like almost 10 years ago was the first movie.
Right.
So it was a different time.
And this is a definitive end of
so they kind of set it up for more?
No.
Oh, well, it is a definitive.
Well, yeah, I guess you could kind of do it, but this is like, you know how someone says, like, this is the end of that story, like that character's story.
I can't think of a lot of stories where they actually do that.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Besides saying the end at the end of it, or, the
unless
polar opposite
they
to be
pull
continued.
some, like, ridiculous in-between stuff. There's a time skip in this.
Oh.
And there's a reason there's a time skip.
Gotcha.
But it's near the end.
Does what's his name? Chopstick? Meat leg? What's the main
Who the
character's
fuck
name?
are you? Hiccup?
Hiccup. Yeah, I was close. He had a weird name.
Fucking Indiana Jones movie.
He had a weird name. I didn't say anything like that. I just couldn't remember that his name was Hiccup. I'm sorry. So does he lose another limb or whatever?
No. All right. Should I just spoil it? Like,
no, I might watch it.
Okay.
But like, there's a time skip.
There's a time skip, and there is a definitive end to like how this is playing out.
How the world is set up.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
you could continue it from where it left off, but maybe not necessarily with the characters.
Okay, so they could do an even bigger time skip and do a different kind of series.
Yeah,
kind of like a Avatar.
Yeah,
do
like a
Legend
Korra
of
thing.
Korra
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, that's pretty similar.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Almost exact, actually.
Well, hey, technically, I could do a 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon sort
That's
of
very
situation.
true. Yeah.
There's definitely probably Nickelodeon owned by. Hold on, let me do it. Nickelodeon, who has the rights to Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, is owned by.
I'm sure there's a DreamWorks show on Nick at some point.
Yeah, or the creators or writers of one of the shows or creations kind of did both jobs, and maybe they translated that sort of story trope.
Yes.
But, kids media has become more and more just like you have 20-somethings watching it.
Yeah,
like Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Or Rick and Morty, which it was never really targeted directly towards kids.
It sure as hell was not.
Okay, so maybe Rick and Morty was a bad example. Stuff on Cartoon Network, like Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Or Gravity Falls.
Where you could pull in another demographic other
right.
than your main
an
target.
older demographic if you choose to, because they would get some of the themes that may get over the heads of 10-year-olds, for example.
Exactly. There's actually a movie that I also watched that's part of our general thesis that is kind of a kid's movie, but also there is some stuff in there that is not for kids, and I can't believe they did it.
I want to guess. Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Neverending Story?
No.
Oh. That would have been too easy. Plus, as a rule, I think I didn't specify this before. As a rule, I was like, hey,
nothing that
we've mentioned before, so we have to watch stuff.
To be fair, I took it more as a something that we haven't actively talked about.
Okay. So
As opposed to mentioned, because we mentioned so many.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that one.
In the previous episode, we mentioned a lot of great American films, and a lot of them were set in the 80s.
Yes.
So it was kind of hard to find a lot of.
It was a little difficult. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot.
I didn't have trouble.
Well, that's because you don't want to be like top of the class.
No. It's because you watched 6 '80s movies.
That's correct.
Instead of just 2, like I did.
Some of us, again, have to be the top of the class.
And some of us have jobs.
You could be the class clown. You sit in the back and you get in trouble all day.
Yeah. Well, what was the other thing that you were going to mention?
I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's funny.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. I'm only like 5 episodes in.
Oh, man, you have so much of it to watch.
I do. 5 seasons, right?
I believe,
6?
yeah, they finished the 5th season just recently.
Yeah.
Good stuff. When I first started watching, I was like, I don't know, man. Andy Samberg is funny, but like they need to have other good, compelling characters. And every character in that show is unique.
Right.
And kind of lampshades police procedurals.
Well, and I had actually, when it first aired, I watched the first episode.
Oh, okay.
And I felt the same way. I was like, this is pretty funny, but I don't feel like I was watching so many other things at the time that I didn't feel like there was really any room in my schedule to watch another thing, even if it's like a riff on procedural dramas.
Right.
But I guess recently I've been seeing a bunch of clips from it.
Yeah.
And they're from later seasons, so I'm like, this is pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
So that's what made me jump in.
And I think the reason why it's gained so much success is partly due to the kind of resurgence of Michael Schur, who was a part of The Office and Parks and Rec and so many other shows. He's with The Good Place, being as popular as it is.
Is he the writer?
Yes.
For all the shows?
Yes.
So that's interesting, because to me, all of those shows that you mentioned have a trouble with the first season.
Yeah.
And it's not until after that first season where they really find their legs.
Because I think he always tries to do something different when it comes to the sitcoms that he's involved in.
No, he does. And
he also played
even
Mose
even
on
if
The Office.
the Office was a take on the British Office.
Yeah.
So,
but not that original.
Well, he does turn it into his own thing, but you can tell watching that first season of The Office, it's just kind of working with the British Office.
Yeah,
trying to be
kind
that,
of a scene for scene
but
thing,
for Americans.
Yeah.
It's not until after that it kind of gets into its own space,
right.
And the cast becomes a little bit more than just Steve Carell and John Krasinski.
And I think another reason why Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been so successful is because people have been trying to find an alternative to The Office and Parks and Rec because of them being over, and Friends and Seinfeld, what have you.
Well, and people still watch The Office too. I believe
there
was some numbers that came out a little while ago where The Office is still like the #1 most streamed thing off of like Netflix.
Off of just Netflix, or like every streaming platform? I
think it's just, I'm not sure what has rights to stream The Office, so I don't want to sit here and say every streaming platform, because I don't know if it's just Netflix.
I would think it was,
but Netflix. There was that deal where NBC is taking The Office back to do their own streaming service.
On IndieWire on April 24th, 2019. Zach Scharf wrote, Netflix users are spending more time streaming The Office than any other show. Data was pulled from streaming numbers in 2018. Friends, which Netflix paid $100 million to keep on the service last year, ranked second, but is not even close to the percentage of minutes watched that The Office represents. According to the report, top 10 programs on Netflix based on minutes watched in 2018 are as follows: The Office, Friends, Grey's Anatomy, NCIS, Criminal Minds, Orange is the New Black, and Shameless are tied. Orange is the New Black and Shameless. Supernatural, Parks and Rec, and Ozark, which I find amazing that The Office and Friends are above Grey's Anatomy and NCIS and Criminal Minds, because those are 45-minute to an hour-long episodes per episode. So they're even longer, and they have the chance to get more watch time. But
it's probably easier for people. I mean, I think we've said as much on this show. Yeah, it's more digestible in 20-minute chunks. So you get stuck there going like, oh, I'm just watching this, and then you watch another, and then you watch another, and then you watch another. And then Netflix is like, hey, are you still watching? Yes, Netflix, I'm still watching. Leave me alone.
Well, they just want to make sure they don't have TVs spontaneously combust from people just leaving their TV on.
Well, I think a lot of people sleep with their TV on, and Friends is probably one of the ones that they put on to sleep to.
Well, that's very dangerous and bad for both your TV and your eyesight. So don't watch too much TV.
You're sleeping. How is it bad for your eyesight?
Because it could still go through your eyelids. You still have light going through your eyelids. I'm half kidding, but hey, fuck you. It's also a waste of electricity and all that shit.
Oh, it's definitely that.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying that I don't think
turn
you
off
can.
Your TV.
I don't think you get eye cancer from sleeping with the TV on.
I didn't say eye cancer. I didn't say. That's the title of the episode.
I didn't say eye cancer.
Was that all you watched?
Yeah, just those two. Aside from the 80s stuff.
Okay. I haven't been watching all that much except for, let me actually pull it up because I always forget. What I mentioned before.
Oh yeah, you said you watched an anime on Netflix?
Yeah. Anime has been my new kind of go-to 30-minute thing because I don't have a new Office / Parks and Rec / Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now, just because they're not going right now. It's the summer, so those sitcoms are quote-unquote taking a break.
Right.
Whatever. But I've been watching a lot of anime recently. Record of Grand Crest War, which just recently got put on Netflix. Like, I actually saw the title of the anime, but it didn't have the preview window up. Like, I think I pulled up Netflix when they were uploading the episodes. And I was like, oh, this seems kind of interesting. It's another fantasy anime, but it starts off. It's a high fantasy, which means there's a lot of magic, demons, monsters and stuff, but it's more about the kind of politics between all these countries after two ranking officials get assassinated by a demon at the beginning of the series. And so it follows this young mage and this young quote-unquote knight, but everyone has kind of a title unless you're a commoner and just work the fields. So you can become a lord.
You're a fielder.
Yes. Whatever. Till the fields. Do whatever. A commoner. A serf. Whatever. They don't. It's all about like lords.
A lowly piece of shit.
But lords are kind of like are smaller titles, and you rise in the ranks by upgrading your crest by either defeating evil, which is called chaos, or by conquering other lords or viscounts or counts or what have you. So there's a lot of little mini politics in there, and there's a lot of it's like fast paced.
Oh really?
Yeah, there will be like a 3-month time skip in between scenes.
Oh Jesus!
It's really fast.
Oh,
it's fast paced. You got to pay attention. Because there was one scene where they're preparing for battle, and the main character turns to his left, and he's like, by the way, thanks, this guy. I can't remember his name because he dies an episode later. But they introduce this guy. He's like, thank you for coming to the battlefield with me. He's like, well, thank you for sparing my life. I was like, that didn't happen. That was off screen. There was like a whole time skip.
So you said this is based off a light novel.
Light novel series.
So I wonder how much of that is just them trying to adapt this light novel. Like, because Sword Art for seasons would do portions of each different book, and like sometimes those were combined.
Right.
So I wonder if this is like a case of trying to combine like 3 of those light novels into one.
Well, from what I remember pulling up, I think there's only 12 light novels, and there's 24 episodes of the anime series. So that's not a bad trade-off when it comes to detailed. It may just be for pacing reasons.
Right.
Like, they don't want to show every single little tiny... There's a whole flashback episode for 2 quote-unquote main characters. They're kind of the prince and princess of these 2 countries that are fighting each other.
Yeah.
But they show how they meet and how they fell in love, but now they're fighting and everything because both of the two people that were assassinated at the beginning of the series get assassinated. I'm going into way too much detail about a show I watched.
This sounds like Gundam Wing.
There's
politically, anyway.
Yeah, but I mean,
without
there's
the
also
robots.
There's also romance. There's also action, and the way that it's animated, you think, oh, it's kind of like a sword art type of thing. But then you realize, oh no, people's heads are getting chopped off, and any character can die. And it gets pretty brutal whenever it shows the action. But it's I don't mind the animation. The voice acting's fine. Like I said, it's a very briskly paced. It's
sounds
very
like
fast.
it kind of runs through some stuff.
I just finished episode 9, and like the main character has become like the ultimate hero, and then he gives up all of his power to another guy so that he can become a wandering nobody.
Yeah.
He gets his own mage, who's like his love interest. He's also become a king, and then gave that up.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he had his own army at one point, and then gave that up. It's very brisk.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But
you're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it so far. I'm on episode 10 out of 24, so
nice.
I'll see how it goes. So it was that, and then the main topics. So
did we ever talk about Evangelion? Did you finish that?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
If not, we can talk about it later.
Yeah,
that just popped in my head.
I could briskly say, yeah, I watched it. Wow, I see where people came from. Okay. And now I'm kind of... I was interested. I was like, okay, maybe I should watch the new ones, quote unquote.
Oh yeah, like the movies, the reboot
/ get ready for the fourth one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a release date. Yeah, I don't think. Sorry, it's Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0.
Yeah.
I'll just wait and see all 4 of those back to back. But now I have the context.
Well, yeah, and then they do some things with that too.
Yeah, but they also introduce characters.
They do, yeah.
So it's like a whole different thing.
Yep.
So I could have just not watched the show.
Well, maybe. It depends on how this fourth one goes, because there's some theories in terms of connections between the show, the movie, between Evangelion, the show, Evangelion, end of Evangelion. And these new movies for Evangelion. So
Revangelion.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Copyright, trademark, registered.
Buy that for $1.
Oh, that's actually a great 80s quote.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the main topic then, since you have so many movies to mention. Yes. Can I list... I'll just say my 2, and if you watch them as well, we can just cover them at the beginning.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I guarantee you haven't watched one of them.
Okay.
So the first one I actually gave a short preview on my Facebook page.
Yes, and that is the reason why I watched this one.
Oh, you did watch it?
I did watch it.
Okay, great.
Because
cool.
I felt like, I should probably watch this so I can actively discuss with you.
So, you watched Cannonball Run.
Yes.
Cannonball Run 1.
1, yeah.
Which, after watching this, Cannonball Run 1, it's just called Cannonball Run.
Yeah. Yep.
So I keep saying 1. I remembered that I liked the sequel more.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I didn't watch the sequel after watching this one. Because it was a very quick hour-and-a-half movie.
Yes, it is a short movie, and it moves very fast. Well, it's a race, so it should.
Yeah, but to be fair, 80% of this movie is not the race.
The race, yeah.
It's a lot of people talking.
And even the stuff that is the race, none of it really matters in the end.
It doesn't, because there's hijinks, and the main bad guy is in it for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
He's not even a bad guy.
He's just a concerned citizen.
He is that guy, though, that in the 80s was always the douchebag that tried to get in the way. Oh, did you burn your tongue?
No. I splashed some coffee on my face, as you do.
Nice. What a fool.
Classic 80s gag. Mishandling coffee.
That's, whenever they're like, they're being told like bad news and they're drinking coffee and they're like,
it's all over my lap now. Oh. Yeah, Don. That's how physics fucking work. What do you expect?
Cannonball Run. I thank you for not only So you knew what the movie was when I posted that?
Yeah, I had seen. Yeah, you posted the 20th Century Fox intro with the red car.
The little cartoon car.
Yeah, which was used in front of Cannonball Run.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you would get the reference.
Yep.
So good on you.
So yeah, I took that as a. It's like, oh, I should watch this too. I had watched Cannonball very, very young.
Yeah.
To the point where I didn't really even remember the movie all that much. I think I had only seen it once in my life.
I just remember Jackie Chan being in it.
Yeah, I didn't remember that at all. So when he popped up, I'm like, well, his name pops up in the credits, and I'm like, the fuck is Jackie Chan? We could have had this the other week.
Yeah, this is like his second Hollywood movie ever.
Yeah.
And he speaks literally one word of English.
Yeah, the whole time he's speaking Cantonese. And I don't know if you noticed, they had him on, when they first introduced him, he's on a Japanese like talk show, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he and his partner are still speaking Cantonese. So the entire time the Japanese host cannot understand a word he's saying.
And that whole scene.
And I don't know if that was like on purpose or if that was just like, Asian. It's all the same.
Because they could. I mean, that might have been. Let's be honest. It was the 80s. But I think because of what follows while Jackie Chan is being interviewed by the Japanese talk show host, his partner is like just taking one of the hot white, I assume American women on the talk show.
They have
into a space car.
Well, they have another movie star next to Jackie Chan at the table. I don't remember if she was actually one. But she doesn't say anything.
Right.
So I don't know.
Maybe just a cameo.
Yeah, I don't know if the other girl that his partner was kind of like showing the inside of his car to was like part of the show or another actress or whatever. I don't know.
Huh. Well, they do that in like They do that in current movies now, so that makes sense.
They do, yeah.
So, Cannonball Run, 1981. You got Burt Reynolds, rest in peace. He's the man. Roger Moore playing Seymour.
Well, he's playing fucking James Bond.
Yeah, I don't know why they did the whole spiel about him being like
He's not really James Bond.
But like he likes to play as James. He likes to play as Roger Moore being James Bond. So there's like 7 layers of character.
I fucking loved it. I wish there was more of it.
It was great. Like Roger Moore just playing tongue-in-cheek Roger Moore.
He's literally James Bond in this movie.
Yeah.
You have literally Roger Moore, literally Jackie Chan. His name in the movie is Jackie Chan.
It's Jackie Chan, yeah.
Which was like that you said in Police Story?
In Police Story, the American translation to Kukui is Jackie.
It must be just a thing with his name. They're just like
they're just trying to make it popular.
Yeah.
So,
Burt Reynolds makes a fucking Knight Rider reference in in the first 5 minutes.
it's great. There's a lot of self-referential.
Or not Knight Rider. Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh yeah. Knight Rider. I was like, I should have caught you on that.
Yeah, different.
My fault.
Totally different.
My fault. Farrah Fawcett, Dom DeLuise, rest in peace. Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. playing actually a reference to this. So the race that takes place in Cannonball Run actually takes place. Mm-hmm. It's an actual race.
It's a real one. Yeah.
And they were playing characters that apparently were involved in one of the races where they dressed up as priests and were eventually caught and all that. But they were drunk the entire movie.
Yeah, they were.
And just having a shitload of fun. And then, I mean, there's a lot of great... Peter Fonda is in there playing his role from Easy Rider, which now makes me think, hold on, I got a theory for you.
Okay. Lay it on me.
So Easy Rider, Cannonball Run 1, and Wild Hogs are all part of the Easy Rider cinematic universe.
I don't like it one bit.
But he plays the same role in each movie, and let's be honest.
The ERCU.
Yeah. It all works. And just like most trilogies, the second and third ones are not as good as the first. I'm just kidding. Easy Rider's not that great of a movie.
Well, also...
unless you're on acid.
If you're talking about The Godfather, there's a debate on whether or not Godfather 2 is better than Godfather 1.
Can I land a bombshell?
It's probably not much of a bombshell for me, but you're free to do so.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I have never finished a Godfather.
That is a bombshell. Holy shit. I actually thought you were going to say that you like Godfather 1 more than 2.
No. I cannot sit still for a Godfather.
It's so fucking good, though.
Listen, I know. And I realize I've just lost literally all of my film love movie cred. But it's just...
James Caan, Robert Redford, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino.
I get it, except for Marlon Brando. I just don't...
Well, he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
But he's a really good actor.
Well, he's kind of an asshole in real life, let's be honest.
No, he was. That's what I meant. Like,
okay.
He was kind of an asshole.
Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't get into it.
All right, well, that's fair.
I'll
shocking. It is shocking.
I told
you got me with that.
It was a bombshell. I told you. But, yeah. Cannonball Run, a lot of fun. It was literally an hour and a half. I don't like the ending about how Dom DeLuise is a schizophrenic superhero.
He's Captain America, man.
No, he's Captain USA.
In the blooper, he's Captain America.
Yeah, and then they realized the mistake and made him Captain USA because they would have been sued. Although, Marvel would have probably let him because they weren't making a lot of money then.
Yeah, I think this movie has like a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Oh, I didn't look it up, but probably. The story is very thin.
I think the ending probably has a lot to do with that because it invalidates almost the entire movie.
And a woman wins the race.
Oh, God forbid.
Oh, no, it's the 80s, so that's probably what no.
Oh, hey, you know what the joke, but the biggest joke with the female racers that end up winning the race the whole time is their strategy in their jet black Ferrari that they're using to go like 160 miles per hour. When they get pulled over, all they have to do is show some cleavage.
Yeah.
And then the cops just let them go.
Yeah.
But what if there was a woman cop?
Yeah.
What would happen then? Oh, they're fucked.
Oh, they're fucked. But no, they're still there whenever they get all blocked up.
Yeah, well, everybody gets blocked up by construction. I guess.
Conveniently, because they all use the same road.
Even in fiction, construction's a bitch.
Yeah. And trains and shit.
Everyone takes the same road. It's set for Jackie Chan and his partner, who end up in El Paso, but are still somehow able to catch up to everyone.
Because they've got their rocket car, man. They've got their rocket car. Yeah, they literally are set to win the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then, for some reason, take a wrong turn.
At the gas station, they go one way when they're supposed to keep going straight.
It's a fun movie, but
it's silly. It's a
the
silly
whole point of the movie. Let's be honest. The whole point of the movie was just to get a lot of these actors. Oh, we didn't mention Farrah Fawcett, who looks amazing.
You mentioned her.
Oh, did I?
Down when you were going down the cast, yeah.
Oh, okay. She's great.
Yeah.
Playing a ditzy tree lover, which I thought she had an ulterior motive, but no.
No, she just loves trees.
Just loves trees.
Yeah.
And then gets kidnapped.
But hey, a love story for our time. Someone gets kidnapped, drugged, falls in love with a criminal.
Love. Anyway, the whole point of the movie was just to get a lot of these characters, or not characters, these actors to be in a movie and just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's like they did. They tried to do something similar with. I don't know if you remember Rat Race.
I do. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Same kind of concept, except most of those people in that were, like, there were some big ones.
Yeah.
Like
Cleese.
Whoopi Goldberg, John Cleese.
Yeah. Seth Green.
Fuck, was Seth Green in that?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Mr. Bean. What's his name? Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
I'm looking up the cast because I know all of their faces, but I'm really
bad
with
names. Was Danny DeVito in that?
I remember the movie, but because I used to watch it a lot as a kid, and my sister loved it.
That's where I learned the term groundhogging.
Yeah, prairie dogging. It was prairie dogging.
Prairie dogging.
See,
yeah.
Breckenmeyer is the top listed character. I guess because he's the quote unquote everyman main character. Cuba Gooding Jr. Seth Green, Gloria Allred, who's in there for a second as Gloria Allred. Lene Chapman, who is not even doesn't do anything anymore as far as I know. Whoopi Goldberg. Hold on, John Cleese, as I mentioned. Hold on, we're doing this whole segment. John Lovitz, who was the dad, and he was the best part because him swallowing the cigarette lighter and then pretending to be Hitler. That was great.
Movies. You always stand the test of time.
Yeah. And no one else, really. Amy Smart, I think I said.
Well, the movie was bad then, and it's still bad now.
Yeah, it's very
think.
bad. It's bad. It doesn't age well. But it's one of those like ensemble cast films, like it's a Mad World,
Right.
where just get a whole bunch of these actors together. We got the
People
money.
will come see the movie just based off of name recognition.
Yeah, they do it all the time now.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Avengers.
Well, depending on which Avengers movie you're talking about,
Any
the
of
quality could be better than the other.
Well, any of them really. The point still stands.
Yes.
What was So let me do the second movie that I watched.
What was the other one you watched?
I watched. Wait for it.
Ooh.
Well, don't do the eyebrows. Whoa, Sammy going. I'll give you a hint.
Okay, hit me up.
And I had
Dirty
the
Dancing?
time of my life. Said had it all before.
Are we gonna get a copyright strike with this?
No, there's no music. There's no music. It's my own artistic interpretation. And I swear this is true. And I swear it on you.
Feel good about yourself?
I don't. I don't. That was bad. Don't pity clap me. I watched Dirty Dancing.
How dirty was it?
It was okay. So not only is there
pretty
a lot of
dirty,
dancing in
yeah.
this movie, a bit too much.
Well, it's in
No,
the
no,
title.
no. Too much dancing, and it's a little bit too dirty, for my opinion. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of. You know
it
what they
feels
would
like
call,
you were not the target demographic for this.
You know
movie.
what they call dirty dancing now? Bumping and
Dry
grinding.
humping?
Yeah, it's dry humping is what it is. Honestly, I don't know how people do it.
I'm surprised you watched this one and not Footloose.
It was a toss between the two. I literally flipped a coin with Alexa. So.
Oh, all right then.
Oh wait, hold on. Did she wake up? I can't tell. My Amazon speaker.
She's flashing.
Oh, it's because she.
Alexa's flashing me. Stop it.
No. Yes, Alexa. I know. Thank you. The sad thing is they won't be able.
Love technology.
The microphones won't be able to pick this up. Alexa, shut up. Thank you. So, it was a toss between the two, and I ended up on Dirty Dancing. And you know what? I'll say this. I've actually been. This is unrelated. This is a non sequitur. I've been intermittent fasting for the last week.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at dieting. I'm just bad.
I don't think anyone's good at dieting.
Well, I mean, but there's so
Some
many
just
fit people
force
out
themselves through it.
there. Okay, then they're better at me than just life.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Well, it's true. So I'm bad. I'm intermittent fasting, all that stuff. And so I do a little short window where I eat and everything. But when I was watching Dirty Dancing, I'm like, okay, there's only one way that I can watch Dirty Dancing. There's only one way.
By dancing?
No. No. Even though nobody is in the apartment with me and I could have danced. No.
You would know.
I would know. And Marley would know. I'm pointing at my cat. Oh, wait. He's not there. I don't know where he went. It's obviously after a hot shower in a bathrobe with my hair done up.
This is
and
steamy.
the thing with ice cream.
Oh, okay.
And so I ended up breaking my intermittent fasting by via Dirty Dancing. So thanks a lot, Dirty Dancing.
Was it worth it?
Son of a bitch, Patrick Swayze had me eating chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream.
Swayze.
Yeah.
Always get you.
Son of a bitch.
It's the eyes.
That
you
guy.
just fall into him.
I really couldn't. You know why? Because it's the hairdo. It's his mullet that throws me off. His later haircut when he's older, pre-dead, was a lot better. But he was,
aren't we always pre-dead until we're dead?
Yeah, well. Ask me that again after peak season at my job, so and then I'll tell you.
I don't know. How to
I'll
take
be
that.
dead.
Oh, but you'll be dead. So
inside.
anything,
I'll be dead inside,
okay.
but like I'll be quote unquote alive.
Well, then you would have the intra dead and the extra dead.
Don't. Smart ass. Dirty Dancing. Starring Jennifer Grey, Patrick Swayze, and a whole bunch of other nobodies.
Nobody
fine.
puts baby in a corner.
Yeah, I don't know why that's the line in the whole movie that people cite, because it's like...
Because baby's a weird name.
Yeah, but her actual name is even weirder.
Yeah.
It's Frances. Yeah.
That's not that
Which,
weird.
by the way, would you say that's a woman's name or a man's name? When you think of Francis, you think of...
It just depends. Francis, you're a Francis.
You're a Francis.
Francis is like, if you're talking about a woman, that makes me picture like an 80-year-old woman.
Right. Like Frances McDormand. Although she's not 80,
Yeah,
but she's the only woman Francis I know of.
It's like Francine. It's like just close enough to Francine where I'm like...
But then just do Francine.
The creators of Dirty Dancing had a vision in mind. Francis was a part of that.
Choreography for Dirty Dancing, by the way.
Yeah.
Dirtiest of dancers, Kenny Ortega, who went on to do High School Musical. Yeah. He's basically Disney's dancing bitch because he does all of their Disney original movies whenever they don't have another director to pull. He did more recently the Descendants trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
With all the Disney characters.
Yeah, the children of the
kids,
Disney.
Yeah. But yeah, Kenny Ortega did the... I was like, hey, cool.
Good
fun fact. Yeah. Patrick Swayze, though. Great. Although he looks like a 30-year-old man, but acts like an 18-year-old kid in this
Was there
movie.
ever a time where Patrick Swayze didn't look like a 30-year-old man, though?
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Red Dawn a little bit, but that was around the same time as Dirty Dancing. Hold on. Alexa, when did Red Dawn come out? So it was after Dirty. Alexa, shut up, you dumb bitch.
Oh, that is rude.
It's a machine.
Right? She answered your question very politely.
Google Home is better.
We'll get a Google Home then.
I do have one.
Subject Alexa to this abuse.
Okay, Google. Play Radiohead. I got one in my room.
This is going to be a copyright.
Alexa. No, wait. Okay, Google. Stop. It's one of these smart machines.
They take it over.
Hold on. Is it playing? No, okay, we're good. We're good. I'm keeping all this in. Dirty Dancing it's all right. It's iconic, all right? The dancing is good. The romance is okay. Jennifer Grey is adorable. Of course, Patrick Swayze. Fuck that guy.
Oh.
No, he's fine.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
Oh. That's the second time you've called him a son of a bitch.
So, it's a great movie. Obviously, it's, the romance movie of that time. There's always one per generation.
Right.
There's Dirty Dancing. Then there's The Notebook. I don't know what I guess 50 Shades of Grey is the most recent one. Like the one that Magic Mike. The one that ladies
that's
like.
That's not a romance though. If someone tells you Magic Mike is a romance movie, they have not seen Magic Mike because that's a depressing.
Magic Mike.
That's a depressing fucking. So you said you haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, for obvious reasons.
You should actually watch it. It's okay.
No.
And it's actually pretty. It's pretty depressing actually.
So why would I want to watch
it? It has a downer ending. It goes against your expectations. I don't know about the sequel, Magic Mike XXL. I didn't watch that one, but the first one was like, oh, this is pretty dark.
It's
Holy
directed by
shit.
Steven Soderbergh. Like after the third or fourth time, he said he was going to quit directing, and then he went on to make like 4 more movies.
Right.
So I get that. Like I was still working at the movie theater whenever it came out. And I saw kind of the end to the movie, and I was like, oh, sad stripper story. Okay. Why are all these seats sticky?
It's like it's like if Requiem for a Dream stopped like 5 scenes before it actually ended.
Okay, so right before it starts, you start tripping balls and all that?
Yeah.
So it's just sad.
Yep.
Why would I want a sad stripper story?
Like I said, it's against your expectations. You know,
guess.
They market it one way, and then I'm not saying like I went into the movie being like, all right, I'm ready to see Magic Mike because
I feel like you were.
I got dragged there.
I'm gonna ask Casey.
But then I watched it and I was like, fuck.
Because you had a hard on too for all the strippers.
Yes, I did.
I'm only focused on the stripper part, and
Clearly,
I'm not moving past it.
I think that's your issue.
That's not my issue. So what would you say is like the romance movie that
for now? I would say, well, maybe like a couple years ago, I would have said like A Fault in Our Stars.
Okay,
that was a big one, right?
Yeah, but I think that's more towards the like No, I guess that
Well,
makes
it's
sense.
always like romance is generally directed towards youth.
Younger.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. I could pull up the box office numbers, but I don't.
The Proposal was good.
Was that?
That
Oh no,
was
that was the
2000.
Vow. I was thinking.
Oh God,
Channing
that was
Tatum.
awful. Fucking hate anything Nicholas Sparks. And I will count The Notebook in this. Hear me say this now.
Oh,
The Notebook is not a good movie. Any Nicholas Sparks movie is shit.
I've never seen The Notebook.
You don't watch it.
Okay,
It's overrated.
but I like Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams.
Watch other things that they're in.
Like
Watch
The Vow.
Leap Year. Rachel McAdams.
I don't want to watch Leap Year. I've seen bits and pieces of Leap Year. No thanks.
I would watch the Notebook over Leap Year.
Oh wow. Let's get into the other movies that you watched.
Well, before we do that, so would you say you're ready for Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights?
No. Even an entirely different cast, director, everything.
You're not ready for the DDCU?
I don't think 2 movies qualifies a cinematic universe.
Well, for Dirty Dancing, it does.
I would say a cinematic universe is 2 separate franchises connected via
Yeah.
scene or character.
You're a separate connection by character.
Fucking roasted. You got me.
Anyway,
Yeah. Was it worth it?
it was.
Okay.
I'm glad to die on this hill. Fucking watch me.
I am.
So yeah.
Dirty Dancing was fine.
Oh, that's good. Good. That's
Sorry.
fine.
We
you're
moved
good.
past it.
You're
You're
good.
right. You're right.
So, as stated before, I watched 6 '80s movies.
Overachiever.
Well, and I wasn't like trying to do a bunch. It's just I watched 3 and I was like, I'm still good.
Might as well double it.
Yeah, like I still. Well, and there were some that I wanted to watch too.
Yeah.
That I just wanted to watch for me. Like I think technically we've mentioned Back to the Future before,
Briefly.
but we haven't really talked about it.
Yeah.
So I watched Back to the Future.
I knew you would.
Part 1 and 2. Oh, I actually watched 7 movies. Never mind. Sorry.
This might be a long episode.
I mean, we don't have to deeply discuss everyone. I can just
Yeah, we're good
if
on
there,
time.
If there's one that you want to dive into, then you can just say
Well,
Back to the Future 1
we
and
spent
2.
a lot of time on Cannonball Run more than I thought we would. So.
We did. Yeah, so Back to the Future Part 1 and 2. I watched those.
Those are movies that you deeply enjoy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've watched them many, many times before. I probably didn't have to watch them if I wanted to talk about them, but I like watching them. So.
Yeah, if they're good movies.
If
Like,
there's any excuse, you know?
so listen, I'm sure I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If there's a movie that you enjoy, don't feel bad about watching it 100 times. Like, that's the whole point of movies is to be entertained. I literally have traditional movies that I watch every year. There's a movie that I watch on my birthday every year. There's a movie I watch on or close to Halloween that I watch every year, and Christmas.
Is there a movie that you watch when you're sick?
When I'm sick?
Uh-huh.
No, I just tend to sleep and then feel better.
Mine is typically either A New Hope or Fantasia.
Oh,
I'll put those on.
Fantasia 2000 or
Nope, just the original one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
OG.
Yep.
Cool. When I feel sick, I don't want to associate a movie with that sickness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. For me, it's like more of a comfort thing.
I see that.
Like I'm feeling bad now, so let me watch something that brings me comfort.
That's fair. I get that.
Yeah.
So you're trying to turn a bad memory of that sickness into a
Yeah,
good
or not focus on the bad, just kind of try to focus on something that I know is good.
Yeah. So, do you have any thoughts about Back to the Future? Like anything
Fucking
that you've
good.
noticed? Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, like any minor details you may have noticed that you haven't seen before.
No.
You've seen it all.
Yeah, I did read up a little bit on some things like after I had watched it. Just like trivia stuff. Did you know that originally one of the
Eric Stoltz.
No, that one. Yeah, for those who don't know, Eric Stoltz was originally brought in to play Marty McFly.
We got fucking robbed.
Because Michael J. Fox was busy with Family Ties.
Yes. Yeah. I thought you were going to say Family Matters. I'm like,
no,
nope.
Family Ties. He was busy with that one, so he couldn't make it work with his schedule. So for about 6 months, they had Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly.
And it just wasn't funny.
Well, he was also kind of an asshole. Like he almost who's the guy that plays Biff? Thomas J. something or something like that.
Yeah, look it up because I don't want to use that bitch robot over there.
She keeps trying to.
Well, I have her. It's an Echo Dot, and it's hooked up to a Bluetooth speaker that's like from Five Below, and it's like constantly flashing red, blue, and green at me, and so I feel like it's like a robot
like
AI from like an 80s film,
yeah.
80s science fiction film where they're flashing just the same 3 colors over and over again.
Thomas F. Wilson.
Wilson. Okay.
Is the guy who plays Biff.
Famous for this.
And when Eric Stoltz was playing Marty McFly, there's a couple scenes where they get into an altercation, and in one of them, I don't remember which one, Eric Stoltz was like really fucking hitting him, and every time Thomas would be like, "Hey man, could you like not beat the shit out of me?"
Yeah.
Like he almost ended up, I think his collarbone, he almost ended up breaking that.
Shit.
And then eventually, Thomas was like, "Hey man, if the next time you do that, I'm gonna like actually throw down with you. So fucking stop."
Yeah. I feel like that's partly on the I feel like that's on Spielberg, a little bit.
Well, Spielberg didn't direct.
Robert Zemeckis. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Spielberg was a producer.
Producer. Thank you.
Which he was also a producer on one of the other movies I watched.
I'm just losing more and more movie cred.
Well, it's hard when you have all that stuff swimming in.
Yeah, eventually I'll spill over.
And then Stoltz was like always in character too on set. Like he was one of those guys who's like, "Don't call me Eric Stoltz," or someone would come up to him like, "Hey Eric, what's going on?" And he'd go, "Who's Eric?"
Call me.
I'm Marty. Like fuck off, Eric Stoltz.
Don't. Okay. So let's say you're an up-and-coming actor, actress, what have you. If you're going to method act for either people that, like a biopic type role,
right,
characters that actually existed, or for dramatic films where you need to get into the mindset. Don't do it for comedy, science fiction adventures.
For No Country for Old Men, did Javier oh my god, I can't say his first name. Javier Bardem. Did he method act for his role in that?
I would think it's hard to method act a
murder.
No, but Javier Bardem's just a good actor.
No, he is. I'm just saying, like drawing a correlation. Like if that guy was walking around method acting that character,
yeah,
nobody would want to fucking work with him. It's the same reason why people got over what's his name, Joker in Suicide Squad.
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Well, also because he was
fucking sending rats to people.
Yeah, I don't know why that was like hilarious news to people. Like that's gross.
Was it? I didn't see anyone laughing at that. They were like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
His co-stars like joking around with it, and no pun intended.
Was that like a ha 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 ha? Like, please don't kill me.
It was probably one of those things. It was a similar thing with another movie he did. I was sure maybe it was Mr. Nobody or Dallas Buyers Club or something like that. But like because those kinds of roles and those kind of commitments win awards, and that's why they do it. Like look at Christian Bale.
Yeah, the Machinist.
Yeah. And then he went on. He did Batman Begins directly after The Machinist.
Mm-hmm,
So he gained like almost 100 pounds in muscle after being a stick figure.
And then he did Salvation.
Terminator Salvation. Yeah. But he's still a good actor.
Oh, he is.
He's an asshole. Yeah. If people remember that clip from behind the scenes of Terminator Salvation.
Oh, good for you.
But to be fair, it was that guy's fault. His one job, he fucked it up. And I was kind of on Christian Bale's side after reading about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Back to the Future.
Originally, before I got off on bearing Eric Stoltz for being an asshole,
fucking got him.
I was gonna say. One of the things I discovered in my trivia hunt was apparently the head of Universal at the time wanted to rename the movie.
Did they call him Universal Head?
Yes. Hey, Universal Head. No, his name was Sid Sheinberg.
Of course it was.
And this guy, in a memo to Zemeckis, was like, "Hey, nobody's gonna like Back to the Future because Future's in the title. Don't do that one. Instead, you should call it Spaceman from Pluto."
Oh, is that? Did they reference that in the movie? Is
Well,
that the comic?
I don't remember what the comic was called, but this title was in reference to when McFly gets out of the DeLorean.
That's
and
what
the
I
kid
mean.
sees. Yeah, that's why this guy was
The
saying,
little kids.
call
kinda
it Spaceman from Pluto because people think he's an alien. And then he also, in the scene where McFly mentions that, or he's tricking his dad in the past.
Yeah.
By saying he's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
From the planet Vulcan. He instead wanted him to say, "I'm a spaceman from Pluto." And because this was such a great idea, Spielberg, who was producer on this,
Right, not director.
sent back a memo of his own and was like, hey man, that was a really good fake memo you sent us. We got a laugh out of that. And because this dude from Universal was so up on himself and he didn't want to admit his mistake, he dropped it.
Of course he did. So, hey, directors involved in a major motion picture in Hollywood, don't listen to the executives.
Well, there's only so much they can do, you know.
So, okay, but if it shuts down production, I would rather have film directors, whatever, have the integrity to stand by their vision.
I agree, but I'm saying from the perspective of I am the director, I have a job.
Right.
If I don't do this, there's certain things that I think you could argue are more important than others. Like that in particular is like, well, I'm glad they stood their ground on that because that would be fucking awful.
Yeah.
But the same guy from Universal also, I guess in the original script, what was it? Instead, Einstein the dog.
Yeah.
In it. Instead, I think it was supposed to be a chimp in the original script.
Okay. Now I kind of want a chimp. I want a chimp in Back to the
But
Future.
I'm also kind of glad we didn't have a monkey in there. I don't know.
What's the matter with you?
I like the
Every
dog.
movie is made better with a chimp.
That is not true.
Have you seen
Did you
Any
see
Which Way But Loose?
the guy gives them the monkey
Have you
gives the guy
seen
the 2
Congo?
fingers? Oh, stop. Have you seen what's the one Radical? No, what is that? Contagion. No. Fuck. What's the one with Dustin Hoffman?
I think it's Contagion.
Is
Either
it?
Contagion or Infection. It's like a very simple.
Where the monkey blood starts
it was
infecting?
Outbreak.
Outbreak. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good film.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of animal abuse in that film.
There was, yeah. So like, there was also another one in that guy changed that I don't remember. But like Zemeckis is getting these back and is like, okay, we'll change the chimp to a dog. That's fine.
Right.
We're not changing the title to Spaceman from Pluto. This movie will fucking bomb if we do that.
And I'm glad they stood their ground.
Like there's battles that you can pick without losing your job. And I think that's like, there's that fine line.
That's part of the job of being a director.
You don't want to be like Suicide Squad where you're like, okay, there's so much meddling in this. We need to do reshoot after reshoot after reshoot.
Yeah.
Because then it just becomes an unintelligible mess where these cuts are so obvious.
And scenes don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very obvious.
Right.
You see a lot of that in especially superhero films in particular because there's a lot of money riding on the success of these films now that they're the new hotness.
Coincidentally, when they fired Stoltz because he was an asshole, Michael J. Fox's schedule had cleared up at the time, so he was able to do both the movie and Family Ties at the same time. And I think I remember reading like Fox would only get like 5 hours of sleep every night because he would go straight from the set of Family Ties to the set for Back to the Future and just do it back to back.
Back to the Future.
Back to Back to the Future.
Swish.
But they lost, or they had to use like another $3 or $6 million on reshooting all of Stoltz's scenes that he had already done.
So yeah, they had already done like I remember reading like 20 or 30% of the film.
Almost, yeah,
or
closer to
that
half,
and
I
50?
think, like
Okay.
40%, I think.
Still, that's
Yeah, it's a good chunk.
But I assume, in retrospect,
Oh, it's
Hindsight being
definitely worth
2020.
it. It had a. I think its budget was
I can look that up.
11. I think it's a budget. No, its opening weekend was 11. Budget was 6, I think. 6 million.
Of the first one?
Uh-huh. And then total gross was like 200 million. So
I'm looking on Box Office Mojo. The gross was 210 million. Opening weekend was 11 million. The production budget was 19 million. So you're really, really close. So it made its money back.
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
Plus, it turned it into a franchise and then a cartoon series.
Yeah, Michael
Action
J.
figures.
Fox, Christopher Lloyd,
Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson, thank you.
Who
I
went
almost
on
said Leah Michelle. I'm like, that's not right. This isn't Glee.
Yeah. But the fact that you know both actresses and both franchises that they're in, good on you.
Thank you.
Transcendent.
I am.
What's the next movie
Yeah.
that you can't gush about?
Well, I'll do one. I actually not seen this movie before, and
Okay,
you're
cool.
actually wearing a shirt for it.
Okay.
I watched The Goonies for the first time.
Oh, this is actually a coincidence. I am wearing a Goonies T-shirt.
Yeah.
Got it for my birthday.
Oh. First time I had seen it, and it's one of those movies
That's crazy.
that you would always hear about. I think I don't know how this is so a movie that I should have seen and I would have watched over and over again as a kid. But I think I had Jurassic Park, I had Back to the Future.
This was Spielberg too, right?
This was also Spielberg,
Yeah.
produced by Spielberg. Director was not.
Okay, this is another one where I thought he was the director because it screams Spielberg.
Well, they always put Spielberg on,
because it was Jaws and E.T., Poltergeist,
Right.
Goonies.
Directed by The Goonies was
I'm gonna know who it is.
Richard Donner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did Superman?
Mm-hmm. So
That's
The Goonies, Back to the Future, Gremlins was also one that Spielberg produced. And they actually even make, in The Goonies, they make 2 references, one to Back to the Future and to Gremlins, which is funny.
So it's Spielberg-averse.
Yeah.
Too many cinematic
The
universes.
SCU.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I just somehow I had missed this one.
How did you feel watching it as an adult as opposed to a kid?
Well, that's kind of the thing. I think it is. I can absolutely see why it's so popular with
Right.
those who viewed it as a child. Being an adult, when they just like take their bikes out to go hunt for One-Eyed Willie's treasure, and then they somehow manage into the one field where they can accurately use their little
coin
coin
Yeah.
to spot where they need to go. Like, I'm like, did they ever have a discussion where they were going when they were no, they didn't. They just showed up here
This
in the
is
field.
yeah.
So like, that's the sort of thing where as a kid, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, they're on an adventure, they're gonna get some pirate treasure, facing off some villains, that kind of thing. You don't care.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you're like, as a discerning adult, anyway.
How are they?
But it's also one of those things where I'm like, that doesn't ruin the movie for me.
How much did you chuckle at the One-Eyed Willie joke?
0.
Fuck you.
Because, well, and I was also like, I was trying to remember before they say his name. I was like, is it One-Eyed Willie? Because it's one of those things that you like beforehand. Before I watched this, you hear One-Eyed Willie, Goonies Never Say Die, This Is Our Time.
It's on like merch everywhere.
Yeah, like there's all these things that you get just via like exposure or like secondhand exposure.
Classic.
Yeah. So I knew certain things going on. I was trying to remember. It's like One-Eyed Willie really his name? And yeah, it's his name. But it, like
One-Eyed Willie, for those that don't know,
penis joke.
means penis. Yeah.
And no, I didn't. It's whatever. But this is also, you can see what kind of movie it is for kids based off dialogue too.
Yeah.
The kids in this are dropping dams and damn it's and shit. And it's
Yeah,
just like,
when in most films back in the day they used to.
But it's like a coming of age sort of movie.
Yeah.
Where I can definitely understand why this would appeal to a kid of that age.
Because this is what kids wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
every time they had a summer vacation or a break or whatever, and they had their friends. They're like, let's do this.
The cast in this is like pretty whatever, except for Sean Astin. There's a young Cable in this, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin as the older brother.
Yeah.
I love how you
Who's
put
great.
Cable as his, not Thanos.
No, fuck no. Anyone who sees Thanos is seeing Thanos. Like,
So would they
unless
not
you
recognize?
unless you know Josh Brolin's voice, which is probably because you.
I'm Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Look at that lower jaw thing. I was in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, he was also. Man, maybe we should do a No Country for Old Men podcast.
Or just a Josh Brolin episode.
The NCO MCU.
Just because. I don't want to, because let me drop another bombshell, all right? No Country for Old Men, not a great film.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know why it's fine?
Well, it's because it's like an actor.
It's Javier Bardem
Yeah.
as a villain.
Tommy Lee Jones is okay. And
He's okay, but let's be honest. He's exposition,
well,
and that's all he is.
I mean, Bardem carries the movie.
Yes.
That's the whole reason to watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, there's really no narrative.
I'm sorry,
pull
Cormac
going on.
McCarthy, but your stuff doesn't adapt well.
Yeah, it really does.
Road.
The Road. Viggo Mortensen, of History of Violence fame,
Oh yeah.
not Lord of the Rings.
Well, they also adapted one of his stage plays, Cormac McCarthy, and it
That sounds like a real upper.
wasn't. It was
But yeah, in
Goonies.
Sean Astin,
You got Short Round.
Josh Brolin. Yeah, Short Round is in there. I don't.
I'm
remember
sorry,
his name.
actor. Yeah.
And there was one other one. Oh, Corey Feldman
Yeah.
is in this.
Frog. He plays Frog or something. Lost Boys?
Oh yeah.
Same is that the same Corey?
Corey Feldman. Yeah, I think so. Oh boy.
Oh boy, hold on.
Oh boy.
Corey Feldman, Frog.
Uh,
Edgar Frog in Lost Boys.
Jonathan K. Kwan is the actor.
Okay, you looked up Short Round. Thank you. I looked up Corey Feldman.
It's a good movie. I think as an adult, I unfortunately don't capture the same amount of charm that I think I would if I had watched it as a kid.
Right.
Which
The
is sad.
whimsical.
It's
nature.
sad when you find that sort of thing where you're like, man, if I had seen this earlier, I feel like this would be on like, this might be a movie where I watch when I'm sick,
Yeah.
because I would get some sort of nostalgic love out of it.
But now you're jaded and broken down as an old man.
Yeah. And I can have fun with this movie. Like, I still like it. I'm not in love with it.
What were some of the things you didn't like about it?
Well, again, I wouldn't say there's really anything I dislike about it. It just is like I feel nothing sort of thing.
Oh wow.
Not as the movie I like the movie as a whole, but there are certain parts in the narrative that I don't really feel one way or the other about, and I feel like that's kind of a lot of the movie is just kind of like filler emotion.
Okay.
Where I'm getting hung up on narrative contrivances and
Kind
like
of not cherry picking, but kind of picking it apart.
nitpicking, yeah. Villains, being bumbling idiots, which that's a movie for kids thing. Of course, like there are so many times of these were actual bank robbers who were trying to kill children.
Yeah.
I mean, there's literally a scene where they put one of the children in their trunk.
Yeah.
If that was real life, that child would never reemerge.
Right. But to be fair,
But it's a kids movie.
yeah, the kids would have died a million times over
Yes.
if not for
Like
one
booby
thing or another.
traps in on the way
booty
to
traps.
booty traps. Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said booby traps. Either way, it's fine.
It's part of the joke.
Okay.
But there's several times where someone will go booty traps and someone will correct them going booby traps. That's what I said.
Oh, I don't remember that.
You need to rewatch the Goonies.
I do. It's a good movie.
It is.
But I forgot that there was that line
Yeah,
after the booty traps.
Um,
That's what I said. It's great.
yeah, there's scenes with Kwan's kid character where he's like
Let's just call him Short Round.
he's using like a grappling hook with like chatter teeth on the
Yeah.
other end
Yeah.
to save him from bamboo spikes. It's like it's silly. It's
silly.
but
'Cause
it's
the kids
fun.
would've
Like
died.
again, I get why this is appealing to kids and why so many grew up loving this movie. So I'm not like trying to downplay the quality of it, you know. I'm just saying, as an adult on first time viewing, I'm getting less out of it.
That's fair, but it, of the times.
Yeah.
And
then moving on.
Yeah, we might have to go into lightning round for the next couple.
Yeah, that's fine. Breakfast Club. I felt like I needed to watch.
I knew you'd do it.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna do a John Hughes movie. In fact, I was gonna guess which one, and I was gonna say 16 Candles, but I'm glad I didn't. Breakfast Club makes more sense.
Yeah, Breakfast Club is always gonna be the Hughes movie that I go for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Judd Nelson.
Does it?
Molly Ringwald.
Does it hold up? I haven't watched it recently.
Well, like, that's always kind of like a weird question for these types of movies, because there's nothing in here that would necessarily make it feel dated, other than the fact that it's in the 80s and the style dictates that it's
stereotypes
from the 80s. Yeah. Well, the stereotypes play a role too. Like, that's part of its central thesis. It's not like there's not an overarching narrative that is separate from these stereotypes. Those stereotypes are serving a purpose for this.
Would you say, and this would be a cool discussion to like actually break it down and everything, but in 2019, would you say that the characters would be vastly different than the characters in Breakfast Club?
Not really, no. Because if you were going to say they were going to reboot Breakfast Club, right?
Ugh. But yeah.
It'd be fairly similar, I think, with some slight alterations. Like Brian the nerd would probably be more of a gamer, maybe. I don't know.
Oh man. Now I'm picturing it. Now I'm casting it.
You'd still have a jock. You'd still have the popular girl. You'd still have a weirdo. You'd still have a smart kid. And then you'd still have a overbearing teacher or principal or whatever.
Hey, mess with the bull, you
get
the horns.
horns. Yeah, Barry Manilow, as it were.
I still love that actor is great.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He was in the 80s all the time.
Emilio Estevez is also in this.
Yeah.
So I don't remember who plays the nerd Brian.
Oh, he was in Vacation. Hold on. Yeah, he played.
Ow! Shit. Punched your table.
Don't do that.
Take that, table.
Breakfast Club. I want to get the actor's name right because he's been in a whole bunch of stuff. He was actually in The Dark Knight. He played one of the reporters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For Anthony Michael Hall. He was also in Weird Science.
Oh yeah, that was on. Man, there were so many. Like when you said 80s movies, I was just going through my head. I actually have a second list here.
Yeah.
Of just 80s movies that I was like.
You were thinking about watching Scanners and Enemy Mine?
Enemy Mine? Have you watched Enemy Mine?
I've watched 10-second clips here and there.
You should give it a watch because it is fucking out there, man.
I'd see, and I had Excalibur on my list. Yeah. And I was like, I really have to be in the mood for this.
Enemy Mine
Conan
is it's sci-fi.
Yeah.
A human and an alien, they're part of this war, and then they both get marooned on this planet. Right. With just themselves, but they can't communicate. There's no the alien can't speak English, and I don't remember who the main guy is in it. Can't speak alienese.
Good one.
So it's at the beginning of Skull Island, with John C. Reilly's young character. They the American pilot and the Japanese pilot crash land. And because they're in a situation where they don't have any provisions and are surrounded by monsters, they have to come together despite their origins. Right. So it's kind of like that, but stretch that into the entire movie and play with conception, I guess. Like giving birth.
Why?
I'm telling you.
Do they have sex?
No.
Gross.
It depends on how you define sex. Give it a watch, man. I'm telling you, it's a trip. It's
Enemy
crazy.
Mine.
Yeah.
Is that going to be your required watch?
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
God, no. I would say check it out if you want some weird film.
All right, I'll see if I can find it.
But yeah, there's so many things I had on this list, and
We might do a part 2 of
There's
this.
there's not enough time.
We'll do a part 2
I
of this.
love 80s cinema. I mean, there's a reason why I ended up watching double what we said we were going to do.
Yeah. I do too, but like, yeah.
Well, and I had some extra free time this week, so
Gotcha.
that's why I was able to watch so much.
But for the most part, if I throw an 80s movie at you, you'd be like, oh, hell yeah, let's watch it.
Let's do it. I don't even remember why I got on that tangent. We were talking about Breakfast Club, and then we went
you're just talking about how you have a whole second list because you love the 80s so much.
I think I was going to move on to another movie.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, nice.
I love this movie. This is another one of those movies with Back to the Future where I was like, I've seen this so many times, but if I'm going to be watching 80s movies, I have to watch Beverly Hills Cop. It's such a great movie.
I remember bits and pieces of it, although they're probably from the sequels because there's 3 of them? Beverly Hills Cop
1, 2, and 3, yeah.
Okay. And it's Eddie Murphy being
Axel Foley.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Beverly Hills Cop or are you talking about Fletch?
Shut up.
It's the same theme. It's the same.
It's always going to be Beverly Hills Cop for me.
It's always going to be Fletch for me.
Or Crazy Frog for the youngins.
Fletch is a fucking dark movie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a comedy movie with Chevy Chase in it.
Chevy Chase, yeah.
Still, it's got some dark moments in there. You got people getting killed by cops and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's applicable to real life right now.
Oh, okay. We're just going to
on that
down.
dark note. But yeah.
Yeah, great movie. Very funny.
It's Eddie Murphy in his prime.
Murphy in his prime. It was like his 4th movie to do.
This was after leaving Saturday Night Live because he thought he was like bigger than that whole thing.
Well, to be fair, he was for a while.
Yeah.
And then he had 2 comedy specials that he did, Delirious and Raw, which are dated, but they're still funny.
Yeah. Well, most comedy dates itself pretty quickly.
But this is like, so Eddie Murphy playing Axel Foley is a Detroit cop. Things happen. One of his friends is killed, so he goes to Beverly Hills where this friend was last to investigate his murder.
Okay.
And through that uncovers some undercover drug rings and
sounds like the plot of Fletch.
Is it?
Well,
I've never seen Fletch.
Well,
so.
But Chevy Chase is a reporter, and one of his informants gets killed, and so he investigates it and finds him.
Gotcha.
And he also gets hired by a billionaire to kill him.
Does it have Judge Reinhold?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know who that is.
He was an 80s actor. He was in a lot of 80s films. He actually played a cop a couple times, which he plays in this. He plays one of the officers that's assigned to tail Foley. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out. It's been a while since I've seen Beverly Hills Cop.
It's really fun, funny.
It's a buddy cop film without the buddy.
Right. And like, if Rush Hour was like too much race joke, and then a really shitty director with a pretty subpar script.
Yeah.
This is like, it has like that racial stuff in there, but very muted. It's like, I think that it's like a subtext sort of thing. So it's like always there because it's 80s and Eddie Murphy is a black man in Los Angeles and all the cops that he's coming against because he doesn't do things by the book, but everyone in LA does.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that classic. Like,
so there's still a bit of relevance to it, especially today.
Right.
With all of that.
But it's not like, oh, Jackie Chan doesn't know the N-word, so he's going to go around fucking LA.
Are you going to do this? I'm going
to do this every fucking time. I'm so mad about Rush Hour, man. That is time I'll never get back.
I know what I'm going to do is I'll buy you a DVD copy of Rush Hour and then just like we could burn it together or something. I don't know.
But yeah, Beverly Hills, I had a lot of fun with as per usual. And then my last one,
Jeez.
This is the last one.
Okay.
I watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Oh, it's great. It still holds up.
Still holds up.
Yeah. It's, for those who don't know, it's based off a novel or a short story, I think, where cartoons are real and interact with humans in the real world.
Right. Like think Looney Tunes, that
Right.
type of. In fact, they're in this movie.
They're in this movie. I don't know if you know this, but Roger Rabbit is actually a Disney movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's Touchstone Pictures, which was their adult kind of studio back in the 80s and 90s until they dropped it because nobody sees Touchstone Pictures anymore. Pretty Woman, I think, was also under the same label.
Pretty Woman?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you do a imaginary box? The box. The scene I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Zach clapped his hands and I screamed.
It's like box. I thought you were talking about a scene in Roger Rabbit where there's a box.
No, sorry. I was
Pretty Woman box.
Pretty Woman, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it does. Like, it looks a little dated. Roger Rabbit does, because it's all hand drawn stuff next to real life in the 80s. So you can kind of see like some aberration and tearing in certain areas just because the tech wasn't there. But I think overall it still works really well, all things considered.
Okay.
Bob Hoskins,
yes,
is the detective in this, and he's
great.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love this movie so much, and I wouldn't say I always forget how much I like this movie, but I do tend to like not put it in my like top 10 list. I think.
Right.
Well, I think it has a good argument to be there.
Yeah, I mean it did a lot for I don't know what we call it, CGI or not CGI, but animation / live action genre.
Mm-hmm.
You got Cool World, you got Space Jam, you got Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, and this
Looney Tunes back in action.
Roger Rabbit, shocker, is framed.
Yeah.
So Bob Hoskins is trying to discover who and why framed him and kind of absolve him.
It's a film noir.
Yes. It's a if you took a film noir as the basis, but then just threw Mickey Mouse in there.
Yeah.
You have Donald Duck and Daffy Duck in one scene on a stage doing like a kitschy piano number where they're also like shooting fireball or cannonballs off at each other, and like it's just silly.
Do you remember non sequitur? Do you remember Bugs Bunny killed a guy in one of their movies?
In one of the movies?
It was one of the movie like cartoon movies.
Like a Looney Bugs Bunny movie.
Yeah, like one of those. It was like a feature-length one, but it was, or maybe it was just a segment.
I mean, he's killed.
The one where he's doing the piano thing on the stage, and the guy keeps coughing, and so Bugs Bunny just pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Oh shit, no!
And then he goes back to playing, and everything's happy and great.
No, I don't remember this. Yeah. To be fair,
murderer.
People and characters dying in Looney Tunes is not that abnormal. There are quite a few that end in death. There's a Tom and Jerry cartoon where the whole premise of that episode is Tom is dead. Like he dies while chasing Jerry.
Oh.
And he goes up to heaven and he's like, please let me into heaven. But the cat at the gate is like, oh, hey man, nah, you were an asshole the whole time. So you need to go back down and get Jerry's forgiveness. Otherwise, he opens a gate, and then it's just like a straight shot down to hell.
I really want to watch this.
You should fucking... Dude, in that same scene where he's at the gate, there's a basket of kittens there.
Oh, what?
And it's like, oh, why are you here? Oh, drown in the river.
Fuck
me. Jesus Christ. And then so the whole episode is Tom trying to get Jerry to forgive him, but Jerry doesn't understand because, one, this is before they could talk, so it's just all pantomiming.
Yeah.
And... like, Tom is on his knees begging him to sign this, like, contract that basically says, I, Jerry, forgive thee, Tom.
Yeah. Otherwise, I go to hell.
Otherwise, I go to hell for all of eternity, and my soul is damned. And the entire time, Jerry's like, no, fuck off.
Yeah. I'm a mouse, and I don't give a fuck.
And so eventually, like, Tom is physically breaking down, like, trying to get his forgiveness, and Jerry's just like, all right, fine, I'll sign it. So then he signs it. And he has like a time limit to get the signature. It's like until midnight that day.
What the hell, heaven?
And if he doesn't get it, then he's
a great title.
He's sentenced to hell. What the hell, heaven?
Yeah.
That's like a oh god you devil type title.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. That was a great pun.
Yeah,
that counts as a pun, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Cool.
And then when he finally gets that signature, he's like actively running up the pearly staircase or whatever
what the
it's
hell?
called. But then it disappears. So he's missed his time frame.
So he goes to hell.
I think eventually he does go to heaven in the end, or he gets like a second chance of life or some shit.
I would assume, yeah.
But
Go back to the
like,
status quo.
fuck,
It's cartoons.
Man. Like
yeah.
cartoons are fucking dark sometimes.
Yeah. Well, remember in a previous episode, we during the Disney quiz, I asked you the question about which Walt Disney cartoon was real, and you're like, oh, it's probably what about like STIs or whatever? It's like, no, like technically all of those were real, and it's like there was a Nazi one where Donald Duck was with Nazis and shit. Yeah.
Or no, it was the drug one. It was they did the Nazi one, the menopause one, or not menopause, period one, and then like a STI one and a drug one, and the drug one wasn't real, but all the other ones were.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
But yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? A lot of fun. Still holds up. There's literally a point in this where Sylvester the cat says someone isn't a pussy.
Nice.
Because he's referring like everybody's gathered around this person and they're like, oh, he's not a bird, he's not a human, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then Sylvester goes, well, he's definitely not a pussy.
That's fantastic. I love when they're in different properties.
And that's
what
I was talking about later. Like, how the fuck did you get past that? Like, I know this is technically the adult.
Yeah.
It's rated PG-13. So, and this is technically the adult label from Disney. But you literally called someone a pussy.
That's how I felt whenever Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, came out. I was like, how is this a Disney movie?
Yeah.
There's like zombie skeletons and all that.
Yeah,
but
people
like,
getting body parts hacked off and shit.
They're like, we're getting the money from one demographic, let's shoot for the other one.
Yeah, but yeah, it's still really fun. I would definitely say give it a watch.
Nice. All right, Zach, what have you been watching? Let's do a quick required watch.
I'll give you two.
Okay.
And I'll say either because I think most people have seen Back to the Future, so I'm not going to put that as my required watch.
Yeah.
So
if you haven't, watch it.
Yeah, definitely watch it. You could technically skip part 3, but there's still parts of it that I like.
There's a completionist type of aspect to it.
But part 1 and 2, definitely give those a watch. And then Beverly Hills Cop and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'll say those.
Okay.
What about you?
Required watch. Book of Eli just popped up on Netflix.
Yeah. Gary Whitta, who is also the screenwriter on Rogue One.
Yeah, he just did a commentary, which is up on YouTube as well.
Yep.
I follow his stuff. He's a hilarious guy.
Yeah, he's got a Twitch channel, actually.
Yeah, he just started that up.
Yeah.
He also wrote After Earth, but we can all forgive him for that. Book of Eli, fantastic.
It is.
Original
really
sci-fi film. I highly recommend that. And then just watch some stand-up comedies stand-up specials on Netflix. Aziz Ansari did one, but it wasn't funny because...
Yeah, I kind of caught a little bit of that, and I was like, ooh, this is a little weird.
It starts off with him going like, hey, remember that whole sexual misconduct?
Yeah.
And like, so it starts off really serious. It's also directed by Spike Jonze, so there's a very in-your-face... Anyway, watch... I don't know.
What's the dude's name?
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, thank you. That's actually who I was thinking of.
I've been watching clips of his stuff.
He's fan-fucking-tastic. I think there's like 4 or 5 of his stand-ups on Netflix.
The Comeback Kid is probably the best one.
Yeah,
Or New in Town.
Yeah, those are great.
So watch some comedy. Smile, joke, laugh around. The world is a dark, dark place. I know this doesn't fit the theme with the rest of the episode, but I was gonna mention an '80s film like Zach did, but he gave you some. So
and there's plenty others too. I mean,
oh yeah,
like fucking Predator, Terminator, like all these like
all the action
classic
movies,
ones that
Running Man,
First Blood. Like all these ones that we didn't get a chance to talk about because we only have.
We'll probably do a part 2.
Yeah,
we'll do a part 2. Or part 3 or part 4.
Do you want to do a nicknames movies first and give a hint on what the fine folks at home can expect for next week?
Next week, sure. Let me look it up because I forgot.
I can tell you right now if you.
No, I got it because I got it. So next week, the topic was going to be movies that bombed. Got critically panned, but are actually good movies. And I feel like one of us will probably come up with a movie that may require some incentivizing, like kind of like we'll have to redeem it through our own opinions.
Yeah.
But
devil's advocacy.
there we go. Well, it'd be the Devil's Advocate episode.
Yeah.
And then,
but not the movie Devil's Advocate starring Keanu Reeves.
I didn't mind that movie.
Oh, it's
it
fine.
just turns into a really weird film in the last 20 minutes.
It does. You know, the first time, another transition right here at the end. The first time I watched The Devil's Advocate, the disc I was watching was scratched, and it actually cut out at the last, 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, wow.
Which is, the big hook
twist.
of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go back to rewatch it for, 10 years.
It's probably for the best.
Because
I was
so mad.
Well, and
I was so mad. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck this shit. I'm going to rewatch a whole 2-hour movie just to get to the
physical
end.
media. Anyway, so that's the topic of next week. I already have a couple of movies lined up. I'm sure you've probably thought of a couple.
I actually haven't. So
You haven't? Well, you got a whole week. So.
I was too busy watching 80 movies.
Yeah,
80s
well,
movies this week.
how about you relax and not overachieve next week?
I'll try.
This has been Nicknames Movies, where the cinema love never stops. Please make sure to visit our Patreon at patreon.com/nicknamesmovies, where you can donate as low as $1 and get the episodes a day early. We'll also be on YouTube the day after on Sunday, so tomorrow. And you can also visit our merch page at tpublic.com/user/nicknamesmovies and buy our merch there. Zach, do you have anything else to say?
Thank you for assigning me this task. This is probably one of my most favorite episodes that we've done so far.
Well, I'm glad I could finally find your niche. And I'm always asking you for topics, but you're like, I'm too busy.
To be fair, actually, now that I think about it, I was the one who suggested 80s movies this week.
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Because
but it was such a short leap from last week.
It was. We were like, hey, we kind of, and that I forgot to mention. Sorry about the rushed quality of our Stranger Things discussion last week. Some things unfortunately came up while we were taping.
It's all good.
And we had to cut it short. And there was so much I wanted to talk about.
Well, the moment's passed and everyone's watching it and done with it. No one's talking about it anymore.
How Will was like, fuck bitches, get dice.
Yeah. Wait. That?
Will?
Oh, okay.
The moment has passed for you.
The moment has passed.
I've completely left.
I'm done with it. It's left.
You're
my
good
Netflix
until
queue.
next year.
Yeah, I don't care. Unless they give us more in the next couple of months, I just
oh, you're such a part of the digital age.
I really am. I'm part of the problem. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We will see you next week.